First of all, I would say support the role of United Nations peacekeeping operations, which deploys 120,000 people in 18 locations on 5 continents in the world. And it has kept fantastic peace in certain areas, like back home, we have got peace in Kashmir for 50 years. It's only a handful, a few, 200-300 UN peacekeepers been there for 50 years. Cyprus, so many other examples. But again, UN is struggling in areas like Congo, Darfur, and other areas. Because the demand for peacekeeping outstrips the availability of human and other resources. In any case, states should not be fighting because all the states in the world, 192 states, have signed the UN Charter, which under Chapter 7 provisions have accepted not to go to war. So which makes the wars in Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan illegal. Next is tackling terrorism, which is obvious because why there are terrorists? One of the main reasons is the societies are not equal. And dissatisfaction of the minority who are the victims of the excesses of the majority. So we have to tackle terrorism, whichever way you look at it. And then we can promote reasons to avoid war, which means there are very good reasons. For example, economic grounds. War is very expensive, and one needs to reduce the military spending, adopting a culture of peace and the prevention of warfare. Another idea is that violent conflict can be prevented with rapid reaction force, which I have been campaigning for many years, or a civilian peace mission, which is more cheaper. All you have to do is send the non-violent peace force in conflict areas before the conflict, and it can prevent death and destruction, protect human rights, and create the space for the local communities who are trying to fight with each other. That's very important. The next one is applying the responsibility to protect. It's a doctrine under international law, which is enforced under the mechanism of International Criminal Court to stop genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity, which has come into formation, has been enforced in Liberia, Sudan, and other countries. The next proposal is to campaign to ban US military bases. Believe me, there are 750 US bases in 130 countries. And America is a military juggernaut intent on world domination and in partnership with military-industrial complex, and it continues to wage wars on a permanent footing. It's Iraq today, Afghanistan tomorrow. If Afghanistan is not finished, and they are already talking about attacking Iran. So, if you see the history of the last 60 years, after the Second World War, one country or the other, America has been on a permanent war. Campaign for Article 9 of the Japanese Constitution, which rejects war and militarism. This we can discuss if you want a bit more, which is adopted by the UN General Assembly, encouraging member states to move away from war and militarism. Promote education and non-violent ways of ending conflict, which is obvious. Promote a culture of non-violence and non-killing, for replacing the gun culture, which is obvious as well. And leaders, instead of promoting war, should promote international cooperation, which is very vital. And the next one I'm saying is talking to terrorists and learning from the Northern Ireland peace process. I've done a bit of work. I've been in and out of Belfast. I've spoken to hunger strikers. I've spoken to prisoners who were there in the 30 to 40 years of Ireland in turmoil and violence. And my office is in East London, and there was a big bomb in the Docklands, and my office shook like this, and we all ran out to see what happened. Then in couple of minutes later, we know a bomb has fallen by the IRA. So, but what happens is that the peace agreement in Ireland is standing, is being held and is working. So it's sort of a beacon for conflict resolution around the world. On the basis of the British experience in Northern Ireland, it's now widely agreed that talking to terrorists and all parties in the conflict is a prerequisite of peace. That's what we should do in most parts of the world. Promoting the role of activism as an active campaign, which is obvious. Bringing into prominence acts of compassion and loving kindness, which the audience knows a lot about, and promote global civic culture of human beings in the world. Supporting holistic solutions, because all the issues are interrelated, so we have to deal with them in a multilateral way because of the threats and challenges of today. And interlink the agenda of development, environment and disarmament together for building partnerships at national and global level. Endorse phasing towards phasing the elimination of nuclear weapons. Like in UK, we are trying to replace Trident at the cost of 76 billion. Who needs it? Who are you going to attack without killing a couple of million people? So these war mentality and psychology have to be stopped. Promote the work of human rights council, because there are human rights violations in all over the world, and that brings conflicts. So we need to do that. Promote completion of Millennium Development Goals, by which you can fight poverty and have debt relief, and also the money saved can go towards peace and culture of peace and education, etc. And then 21st century, to make 21st century about governments giving power to the people. It's very important, otherwise we have revolutions and records. And to work for promoting democracy, good governance and multilateralism. And last one, introduce universal education, which is obvious, that you have to have good leaders for future. Now, I'm going to suggest 3 areas in which we can work together for spreading peace and non-violence by our actions. First, before I suggest that, first I'm going to give you some examples from history where the non-violent struggle has been successful. The Indian independence movement, whereby Gandhiji campaign of non-violent action ousted the British from India. The US civil rights movement and the part played by Martin Luther King. The Polish solidarity movement of the 1980s that ended Soviet control of Poland. Philippines dictator Marcos overthrown in 1986. The non-violent movement that ousted the Chilean dictator Pinochet in 1987, the collapse of the communist governments in Eastern Europe, the Velvet Revolution organization, South Africa, the 600 organizations that avoided civil war. If you remember, that's not long ago, and supported Mandela and de Klerk to end apartheid, because everybody said, oh, they had perpetrated so much injustices and tortured the blacks, they are going to come up and rise against it. But it's a great example, South Africa, of living peacefully. The student-led movement that ousted Serbian dictator Milosevic in 2000, the Rose Revolution in Georgia, the Orange Revolution in Ukraine, and so on. There are many, many more examples. And now I'm going to suggest maybe 3 more ideas, yes? Correct. Which we can take up together, or we can talk about it. One is making your borough a borough of peace, or your city a culture of peace city. and worked for building a peace museum